Welcome to the Bonafide Leaders podcast with your host, Tim G. Williams. Let's get to it. Hello, Tim G. Williams. We're back with another episode of the Bonafide Leaders podcast. And today we are going to talk about success defined. So you have a particular definition of success, and I hear it comes in 6 parts. So can you give our listeners a lay of the land, how you think about success and this kind of the system that you're kind of working through here?
Absolutely. So success, what is that? First of all, maybe it's a good starting point for us to begin with. And according to Merriam and Webster, success is defined as a favorable or desired outcome. And then it adds secondarily the attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence. So let's break this down into these 6 pieces. First is stuff. And with stuff, we would call that some amount of success we've had because we've got stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about what stuff is. Second is titles and power. Certainly, most of us would say how much power we have and the title we have reflects some amount of success. And then the third are our experiences. Experiences reflect success. So I want to talk just a little bit in more detail about those 3 before we move to the back half.
Okay, I like this. I always like starting with a dictionary definition, and I'm so glad that you called out the dictionary because they're different. Dictionaries
Yes.
are different. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
Continue on. Let's hear it.
Maybe I should have gone with the Urban Dictionary. It would have been interesting to see what the Urban Dictionary had to say.
Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So stuff we get through money, and we get the money through a salary, sometimes a really fat salary. Sometimes, see, that's the Urban Dictionary. Sometimes we get it through a big bonus, equity, stock awards, maybe through ownership in a company. And that affords us nice house in a very, very good zip code. Sometimes it gives us that car that we really, really want that has all the right features that impress our friends. Sometimes it's the jewelry and the nice bag. Maybe it's the access to the membership at the country club. This is the stuff. And some would say that success is measured in how much stuff we've accumulated, which comes through money. Stuff.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I can totally relate with that. And it is, as you succeed, you don't want that lifestyle creep to keep taking over your life. So yeah, every leader needs to hear that.
Yeah. So stuff.
Okay.
Number 2 is titles and power. Let's talk about what titles and power is all about. I am salesperson of the year. Maybe I've arrived to become director of fill in the blank, or vice president of fill in the blank, or CEO of fill in the blank company or organization. Maybe I'm president of my university, or I report to someone who is the mayor of this city or the governor of this state. I've got a premier title. I've got a lot of power because I'm an author. In fact, I'm not just any author. I'm a New York Times best-selling author. I've traveled so much that when I even show up to the airport, they know my name. And I've got like triple gold, diamond, platinum, you name it, status. And I sit in first class every time. Titles and power, for some, represents success.
And it's also the stuff can create the status, can create the power, and there's an interplay between the first and second parts there.
Without question.
I like that.
And then
Okay.
as you think about 1 and 2 coming together, maybe 3 comes together too, which is all about experiences. So some measure success based upon the life experiences. For example, I have had the great fortune of wine tasting in Bordeaux, France, and in Tuscan, Italy, and in Napa Valley in the span of 48 hours. I've been to the
Wow.
Super Bowl and sat on the 50-yard line and had sideline passes. So I got to hang out and go into the locker room with the players before the game. Or maybe I got to go to the Academy Awards, had a front row seat. I was a part of the red carpet show and I was taking pictures with all the stars and I got backstage passes to that. Maybe, you know what? I climbed Mount Everest. I'm one of like 5,000 people in life's history to have done that. And then I skied down. Experiences for some represents success.
This makes me think of the American Express Centurion Lounge. You get a Centurion, you're over by yourself. You get the stuff, you get the status that comes with that, the power, and you get your own separate experience. So, yeah, very
I bet
successful
that.
people get their own stuff. I like that.
I
Okay.
bet that.
Okay.
VIP. So
Yeah, that's right.
when we're talking about success and we're talking about these 6 elements that sort of define and bring success our way, those first 3 that I mentioned, sort of tongue in cheek, is the way that I like to say I'm describing those. There is absolutely, in my opinion, nothing wrong with desiring stuff, with desiring titles and power, and with desiring experiences. You've had them, Brandon. I've had them. And for those of us who live in this part of the world here in the United States, we are beyond blessed.
Amen.
And so, I mean, praise God, right? That we've had those experiences, those opportunities, the stuff that enables our kids to have what they have, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, if those 3 items represent 100% of how we define success for ourselves, we're headed to a certain disastrous and hopeless future. If our measure of success is entirely dependent upon whether or not we've got stuff, titles, and power, and have had all the world's best experiences, and largely we're headed towards disaster because those things aren't built on anything. They are largely extrinsically driven, and we're seeking to please people and impress people who really don't care about all the things that we have accumulated because they're so focused on accumulating perhaps for themselves.
Mm.
And so, the first 3 I really highlighted to say, look, nothing wrong with having some desire for those things. At the same time, if success for us is measured in stuff, titles, and power and experiences, we will live a life that is void. And I would say would lead to some place of hopelessness. And that's not where I would like Bonafide leaders to be. And so we're going to transition and talk more about the back half, which I think are more reflective of what real success, uh, lasting success, really is all about.
And this lasting success built on something stronger, deeper, better foundation, more hope. I like how you describe hopelessness and hopefulness.
Yes.
Yeah, let's dig into that. I want to hear what is this definition? Because it sounds like that's what I want.
Hopefully that's what most of the listeners want, while also being fair and honest with ourselves and saying, none of us just desire to be broke. Okay, come on.
100%. Yeah,
Right. None of
100%.
us just desire to be home. No, we wouldn't want that for ourselves, for our loved ones. And there's nothing wrong with having some ambition around those things. It ought to be, I would say, measured though, because well, let's just move to the other part. It ought to be measured is what I'm saying. So this first definition of success I actually got from my lovely bride, my spouse, who said, Tim, success, I think, and she wasn't trying to pontificate or anything. If you know my wife, that's not the way she flows. She was just having a conversation. We were just talking about some different things. And she said, success is setting goals and achieving them.
Okay.
And I said, my goodness, that was profound. She said, success is setting goals and achieving them. Let's break that down a little bit. Let's talk about goals, first of all. Most of us are familiar with SMART goals, right? They're specific, they're measurable, they're actionable / attainable, they're relevant or reasonable, and they are time bound. So first of all, our goals that we set fall into those buckets, ideally. The other thing that when you talk about setting goals and achieving them, I think it speaks to John Maxwell's book on the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, where he references one of those laws being the law of navigation. And the law of navigation says that leaders chart the course for their life, for their team's life, their team's goals, their organization's goals, etc. And a lack of, direction or compass will end up taking us anywhere fast. I'll say that one more time. A lack of a compass or direction will take us anywhere fast. And so having goals, having something that we're working towards is really important. And that's what leaders do. Leaders set goals and leaders achieve those goals. And when we do that, that's one element of what I would call true and real success.
That sounds so simple, but not
Mhm.
easy, to set, first of all, the right goals, like you're saying, but then actually achieving the goals that you set out to do. That's a
Mhm.
lot harder than it sounds.
I think it is, because sometimes we got to know what we're aiming for.
Hmm.
And every leader who's been in any kind of an organizational context knows that if you what they call it, you stand the ladder up on the wrong house and you climb the ladder, you might look around and realize you're on the wrong house. And so it's really, really important that the goals that we set are going to drive the greatest benefit for the organization, for our teams, for our customers, etc. And, there's one subtlety, I think, when you hear that particular definition. Like you say, it is very simplistic, you would say, but I think is so simple yet profound, which is that
Hmm.
leaders actually, if you're worried about, okay, well, set goals and achieve them. Well, what if somebody sets a low bar? Most leaders I know and have worked with don't have a habit of setting low bars. If anything, we're accused of setting the bar too high. So if someone sets a goal and achieves it and are in a leadership context, to me, that tells me that's a successful person. I don't have to worry about people who are on my team who are leaders setting bars that are too low. Now, sometimes we might need to augment the goal or add something to it or refine it. But if anything, the leaders I know are going to say, look, if we achieved 3 out of our 5 organizational objectives in 2024, well, what's the goal for 2025? We got to go for 4 or we got to go for 5. That's, I think, the way the mindset of leaders that I like to work with, that's the way that they think.
Mm. Yeah, I would beg to argue that they wouldn't be leaders in the first place if they had low goals.
Typically not. But then you're
Typically.
back to, which we haven't talked about, and maybe we can have a whole conversation around managers versus leaders, and then people
Hmm.
who are promoted versus those who are anointed. Because there are cases in which people get put in roles and maybe they haven't yet earned their way to leadership through the setting of not just their own personal ambitious goals, like, skiing in the Alps and getting that
Hmm.
vacation home, but like setting goals for others that benefit them, their teams and their organizations. And we could talk about that at another time.
Hmm. Hmm. That sounds good. Okay, what else does success look like in
Yeah.
a true sense?
I like this other definition. So this is number 5 if you're tracking or taking notes. Number 5 is something I got from a mentor, and this mentor I had in a particularly challenging season of my life professionally. There were a lot of decisions and opportunities coming my way and coming quickly, and I needed someone who was more senior. So I actually brought them in. This is a sad but good story. I brought them in to my company, Texas Instruments, and this person that was executive at a large company, larger, I think, than TI at the time. And I thought, wouldn't it be great, since I was leading this employee resource group, to have my mentor, this guy with all this experience, come in and talk to this group of people and share his wisdom. And so I booked out the auditorium, just knowing we'd get a big, group of people who would come and people who would invite other people. Although we had like 60 or 70 names on the roster for this ERG, sadly, literally less than 10 people showed up. One
Man.
of the most embarrassing moments of my life with my mentor, by the way. Very, very frustrating. This is the kind of stuff that just makes you want to quit, right? Why am I trying to support and help these people who don't want to get what this guy has to bring? Nonetheless, what he shared was profound, and I'm going to share that with those listening today. He said success is the combination of three factors. It's a combination of knowledge plus application plus relationship. Those three components combined in aggregate cumulatively is what makes someone have or find success. And his definition of success has to do with maximizing the opportunities given to you, given your expertise that you can provide in some organizational business context. It's maximizing what you can deliver based upon your expertise and the company or business's needs inside of an organization. So I can break those down a little bit more detail from there. But let me just pause. Do you have any thoughts about that before we dive into those a little more specifically?
Well, about your the speaking engagement, it sounds like a marketing problem, and we could have talked about that. No, I'm just kidding. No,
That's
no, yeah.
hilarious.
So I like that. So knowledge, application, and relationships. Is that
Yes,
do I have that right? Yeah, yeah.
that's exactly right.
And I would, yeah, man. What I'm learning is relationships are almost more important than any of those other ones put together. I mean, it's like
Mhm.
every opportunity I've ever had has been because of the people that I know. So yeah, I would weight it on that relationships. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm curious what you would think about that.
I don't know that he put a weight to it, but there's no question he would say you got to have all three. So let me
Yeah, of
break these
course.
down. So knowledge, as he defined it, was really our degrees. It's the knowledge we've accumulated over time, the podcasts that we've listened to, the books that we've read, the trainings that we've completed, et cetera, et cetera. That's knowledge. Okay. And we bring that. And because of our knowledge, we get hired into a job. Most of us, right? We graduate from
Mhm.
college or we finish the military. Because of our expertise, our knowledge in some area, we get hired into a job. That's what we bring, right? Is our knowledge. Now, if we just stay at the knowledge level, we're not getting promoted.
Mhm.
So what companies now want to see after about the first year or two that you're inside of a job is they now want to see the application of your knowledge, right? Now we're talking about demonstrating or putting into practice the knowledge that has been gained. So now you combine knowledge plus application, and that forms the basis of what you know or what I know. Knowledge plus application is the combination of what we know.
And some people would say that that's wisdom, is applied knowledge. It's knowledge applied over time or having that
Hmm.
application. So that's what's thinking in my mind is you become wiser. Like I know how to
Yes,
apply certain parts of knowledge to certain experiences that I've had.
absolutely. Certain things, certain skills, certain knowledge becomes transferable in
Mm.
different settings or in different instances or in different use cases. You're absolutely right. I love that. The last piece is relationship. And he told a story, which I'll relay. The story went something like this. I may not get all the facts perfectly right. Uh, but my mentor was at a big company and at the time was like a district level manager. And they were seeking a regional level manager job. Performance reviews, compensation reviews, evaluations, assessments, green, right? Up and to the right, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, like year after year after year after year. The person clearly was well liked, well respected, was delivering results at a district manager level. They wanted the regional manager opportunity. What was interesting is that as they applied for that regional manager opportunity or were hoping to be considered for it, unfortunately, someone else was asked to go take on that role. Didn't just happen once. It happened multiple times. Despite having great performance reviews, finance compensation reviews are all good. Everything's looking good. And he couldn't understand why he was being, in his mind, passed over for an opportunity that he clearly was deserving of and capable of. Turns out there was one thread with the multiple people who sort of got that regional level opportunity. And that thread was the beautiful game, given that we just came off of the Masters, this is appropriate, of golf.
Hmm.
What my mentor lacked was the ability to play golf and lacked the connection to know that that's what people did outside of work. And it turns out that each of these 2, 3, 4 people that got the job before him, they all managed to build relationships with whatever's above the regional vice president level, and they played golf. So immediately, I'm sure something's happened on the inside of some of the listeners, as it did for me as I was hearing this story, which is like, are you telling me the reason I'm getting passed over is because I don't play golf, or I don't play tennis, or I don't go? I'm with you. That's exactly where I was as he was sharing this story. However, he said something I thought was really intelligent. He asked himself a question: how bad do I want the job? He said, I want it pretty bad. Am I qualified for the job? Yeah, everything says I am. The only thing between me being here, a district manager, a regional manager, is not playing golf. So then he said, okay, is playing golf unethical? Is it immoral? Is it illegal? And then the fourth question, does it violate a personal value of mine? And as he went and looked and answered those questions, the answer came back, no, it's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's not unethical. It doesn't violate a personal value. I don't know why I have to do it to get the job. It's more of an inconvenience. But if that's what it takes to get the job, I'm willing to go do it. Long story short, he ends up picking up the game of golf, starts to build the relationships with those hiring managers. Of course, he gets promoted, and then multiple promotions after that. What was missing was relationship. Had the knowledge, had the application, lacked the relationship. And to the point you made earlier, Brandon, we got to have all three. Ultimately, it's in most cases relationship that gets us inside the door of opportunity.
So first of all, I'm going to get golf lessons. Okay. I'm just gonna call somebody today. No, but really, what it strikes me is it's not golf. It's like you said, the relationship. It's the means to forming that kind of bond with someone else. So whether it's tennis, whether it's cards, fishing,
Yep.
a glass of wine, whatever it is, but form
Yep.
the relationships and make that a point. If you want to be a leader, you want to be successful, you want to move to the next step, form those relationships, however that looks.
That's right. And to this day, I tend to ask myself those 4 questions. That advice from my mentor I thought was so good. Is it unethical? Is it immoral? Is it illegal? Does it violate a personal value? And if I come back with a no on any of those, it's like, well, what's stopping you from doing what you need to do to kind of take the next step? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm stopping me because I've got this block. And part of what we do in coaching, what I do with some of my clients, is we seek to understand, we talked about motivation, intrinsic and external motivators, and try to get beneath the thing. What we call it in coaching school is the thing beneath the thing. It's the thing that we say out loud, which we all hear. Hey, I want the promotion. Okay, well, let's talk about that. What makes you want that promotion? Why is it important to you? What would you gain that you don't currently have? These are some of the questions that I often talk to my clients about to just underscore those motivations. And once you've kind of raised those motivations above the iceberg, so not just at the surface level, but now above, right? So that's visible, you know it, you understand it. And then you ask yourself those set of questions, it really can help us all overcome our own mental blocks, our ants, our automatic negative thoughts that limit our own ability to move ourselves forward. That ants term, that's free, by the way. Yeah, that's another
I've
one that
never
we
heard
talk
of
about.
that. That's
Yeah,
great.
got
Love
that from coaching school, and I share that with my clients
Ants.
frequently because it's those things that set us back.
I have so many ants. This is not a therapy session, but I've got so many. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And
So
so,
tell me about the next one.
yeah, so we've talked about, one, setting goals and achieving them. That was number 4. Number 5 was knowledge plus application plus relationship. And then this 6th one is, I got this one from John Wooden in a book called They Call Me Coach. John Wooden, for those who don't know, is, in my opinion, or regardless of my opinion, a legendary basketball coach, won lots of championships at UCLA. back in the 60s, maybe in the early 70s, just had an incredible, incredible run. And John Wooden talks about the idea that success, and I'm going to just quote him for a second, success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best you're capable of becoming. Break that down a little bit. And it comes from, if you're familiar with John Wooden, he has this thing that he built over hundreds of hours of practice and writing and thinking about it, this pyramid of success, which is what he tried to build all his teams towards. By the end of the season, he wanted them to have established strong relationships at the bottom, trust, etc., all the way ultimately up to faith, belief, and you can go look at the pyramid of success. But when he talks about success, it's really one, peace of mind. And how many of us can say that we've got peace? Wouldn't that be great to be able to say that I've got a peace of mind? One. Two, it's a direct result, not a partial result, but it's a direct result of the self-satisfaction that I've got because I know I did everything I could to be the best that I could be. What more can you ask for? It's not about pleasing other people, impressing other people. And by the way, no one else can tell me I'm successful. You can't tell me that, nor can I tell you that. I mean, I could, but only you know whether or not you've done everything you possibly can to be the best that you can possibly be. That's a question that we've got to ask ourselves. It's a deep question. It's a hard question. And one that I ask my daughter from time to time. Just got a message from the school today. I'm not thinking that she's doing her absolute best in a particular class. I'm a little frustrated about that. But it's a peace of mind that we can have when we feel satisfied over the fact that we know that we've given everything we can to become the best that we can possibly be.
That speaks loudest to me right now as just becoming a leader and just trying to plot my course, over time, is having a clean conscience, and keeping it simple, not stressing, and knowing that I did my absolute best, like you're saying. Like that is so key, and I think it's so little talked about. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. I've been thinking so much about hurry and stress and, growth and all these all this stuff that can just cloud your mind. And I like how you kind of kept it simple like that. And that's what I'm after these days.
That's sweet of you to share that. And it's I think reflective of our larger society. Most of us are uber focused on success. More, next, grow. It's just the world that we live in. And I think that is only going to increase, which is why having the inner circle, having something that we're grounded in, for me, is my own personal faith, my relationship with the Heavenly Father that grounds me. There's another good book I'll reference, in fact, related to that. It's by Robert McGee, called The Search for Significance. And Robert McGee says in The Search of Significance that a lot of the problems happen internally inside of us because we're working so hard to sort of get approval from other people, allowing our worth to be based solely of other people's opinions of us. Or even if it's not the outside world, it's based upon our accomplishments. Something I've got to watch too. Because in the Strength Finders assessment, my number one is an achiever. I love to set a target and see it happen. It makes me feel good. I love to bring a team together, whether it's the basketball team that I coach or whether it's something in ministry at the church. I love to see things come together and we achieve the goal, the objective. I love working with my clients around them setting goals and achieving it. But underneath the achieving, there's got to be something beyond immediate success that's driving us. And there's a difference between success and significance. Success is fleeting. It's kind of like, yeah, you did it once, but now you got to do it again. What's the first question? Not the first question, maybe the third or fourth question after the Kansas City Chiefs win the championship. Oh, what do you think about next year? The owner was already talking about what about next year? And it's this hamster wheel effect that I think is incredibly stressful to the way that I believe God intended our brains to work and function. It's disruptive physiologically to our bodies. And again, I work with my clients on these kind of things because sometimes we actually have to slow down to go faster. Sometimes we actually have to slow down, put some things away, get some focus in order to get the breakthroughs that we want. And in McGee's book, it's about significance, which is much more long lasting than today's success, which is fleeting. And then you got to go do it over again. I think it's important to have our mind on both, actually. Our mind on today, right? Success, near term, but also significance. If I get hit by a bus, I walk out the house and get hit by a bus today, what are people going to say about me when it's all said and done? These are the questions that I think are worthwhile to ask ourselves when we think about having real success. Is it about the stuff and the titles and the power and the life experiences only? Or is it more about these things we've just discussed in 4, 5, and 6, which is peace of mind and significance and setting goals and then achieving them and celebrating, I think, is a big part of that success factor, which we didn't talk about. But those things I've found to be the things that really deliver long-lasting success. And then over time, long-lasting success becomes significant, a significant life well lived.
So glad to hear you say that. At our company, we're looking at a couple other books. One is Slow Productivity by Cal Newport, kind of getting at exactly what you're talking about. And another one called It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work, and just talking about different ways to work. It's more practical and on the ground, but yeah, it doesn't have to be stressful because stress kills. Stress is bad.
Well, and I just want to just pause parenthetically. We're going to have some stress. Okay.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right. Stress is a
100%.
part of day, our work, being a parent, being a husband, etc. Right. We're going to have stress. It's how we cycle through the stress and how much of that stuff is induced unnecessarily. As I always tell some people, I won't be specific, but I'm like, life is hard. What we don't need is unnecessary stuff piled on top of the already hard life that we have, the hard work life that we have. We just need some place where we can just have a refuge. And that's really, really important. I think for all of us, stress is going to happen. It's how we manage, how we cycle through that, and learning the skills of stress management. Again, something we do in coaching, something I do with my clients. It's really, really important.
Amen. Tim, this has been so helpful to have this new orientation towards success from the first three of stuff and power and status and all of that. And that is so fleeting. And there's much more significant definitions of success that are more powerful, more meaningful, and give you more hope. And so I'm glad to have you share that and break that down for us today.
I'm happy to have done it. I enjoyed it a lot, Brandon, as always.
Thank you, Tim. We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.